Kaydi Bolos, aka Katie Runs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. A little
Great.
nervous, but it'll be good.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine. So I love listening to your stories, and I've been following you, of course, a while for on your Instagram. And I started Out in the Dark back in 2018 now, and the kind of thought behind it was, if running worked for my mental health, surely it must have helped others. And one of the people I came across was someone running in beautiful landscapes in Utah and sharing an inspiring message of hope and getting through hard times with running. So awesome that you've like kept growing and kept pushing that message out there, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, for those who might not know you, who is Katie Runs and Katie Bolos?
So I am Katie. I am 32. I don't even know. I'm 32, almost 33. I um, am married. I have three boys. I started running post college, kind of in college, but not really for my mental health at that point. I was just my first couple years of college, I had actually got my personal training certificate, and I was doing that, and I just kind of would run for the fitness aspect of it. And then I got married. I got started in my degree, and it was just very like time consuming and mentally draining. So then I started where I went to school, there was these beautiful trails right behind the college, and so I would go out after class and just run like a couple miles, and I just noticed how much it was helping me just like cope with life stressors. And then yeah, I just enjoyed it and, you know, didn't think much of it. It was fun. And then I had kids, and then I had postpartum depression, and I realized I really needed running, and it really helped me through that whole postpartum period with my first, getting out the door. I would do lots of stroller running with him. Um, we'd bundle up, go out in the cold, and then when he was a few months old, we ended up moving where it's a little warmer. So that was nice to just to be able to go run whenever and not have to worry about the cold. And also, as you know, like being in the sun, I feel like helps people that struggle with depression as well. So that was nice. And yeah, what else about me? I have two dogs. They're my little babies too. I never thought I would be a dog person. I had a dog growing up, and then it died when I was in like third grade, and it honestly was so devastating to me. I just didn't like dogs after that. It was, I don't know, I just didn't like them. I didn't ever want one. I think it just broke my heart. And so my first dog, she kind of just fell into our lap. I've always loved Dalmatians ever since I was little, and I saw a picture of her and I was like, I need that dog. That's my dog. And yeah, she's like my little soul dog. And then my other dog, it's a very long story, but Cleo, my Dalmatian, she actually got knocked up while we had her boarded. So that was this whole disaster. We actually like went to court with the place, and anyway, so our second dog is actually her puppy. So he's half Dalmatian, half German Shepherd, and he is crazy but so fun. I'm glad we kept him, and all the other pups, I have kind of kept tabs on them, and they are all doing great, and it's been fun to watch. So that kept me busy for the last couple years, and yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around. I used to work in healthcare at the hospital. I'm a respiratory therapist. About 3 years ago, I quit to be home with my kids more. I was working nights and I just wasn't sleeping. So it just, obviously, not sleeping is not good for your mental health, and it just was really hard. So I always told myself, like, I will go back when my youngest goes to kindergarten. Um, and when I quit, that's kind of when I started pursuing social media more, just to kind of give me something to do. And yeah, so that's kind of when I've had my account for a long time, but I didn't really start doing it until probably 3-ish years ago, 3.5 years ago. So yeah, my he actually goes to kindergarten this fall, and I've thought about going back to the hospital, but I don't know if I want to. So we'll see. We'll see where life takes us. No plans, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm excited. Ever since I've had kids, I had them all really close together, 18, 20 months apart, and I've always just kind of been like in that thick stage of motherhood where toddlers, babies, they require all of your attention. And now that my youngest is 5, I'm just getting to this new stage where I have a little bit more free time. It's still mentally draining, but also they're more independent. I'm not wiping their butts. Like it's just nice to be here, and I'm grateful that I made it here. At one point I honestly didn't think I would. And so it's just good to be here, and I'm excited to see what this stage of life is with all 3 of my kids in school all day, and maybe just enjoy not having them with me. That sounds so bad, but it really just like, I just feel like I've earned it. Over the past 8.5 years, I've been with a kid nonstop. So I'm just excited to have a little more free time from like 9 to 3 every day, and be able to have, pursue my hobbies, or if I want to work outside of the home, it'll just be nice to be able to have that choice. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want me to mention, but I think that's really it.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing. And there's a lot to unpack there. And your running journey, like you started about college, you mentioned, and
Yeah, so it was probably like 2011. So however long that is. Is that 14 years?
yeah.
Yeah. So
But you
I
did
hated
some
it in
other
high
sports.
school.
Yeah, you did
Yeah,
some other sports.
yeah.
I hear you're training to become a basketball champion.
Yeah. So I played like soccer all growing up. Um, and then I did basketball in high school. I wanted to do soccer and basketball, but I decided just to focus on basketball, so I did that. And then like I would do track to stay in shape in the off season, but I absolutely hated it. My coach can attest. Like I hated it. I don't even know why I did it. I was like, I complained so much. I'm like, my coach probably hated me. But yeah, so that was like the extent of running. And I did like short distance, like I did sprints and stuff. So it wasn't the same. And now looking back, I'm like, dang, I should have tried cross country or something. I might have been good at it.
Yep.
But that's hindsight. So yeah, so then got to college. I think I put on like 15 pounds, freshman 15 when you go to college. And so I think that's initially why like I started. I'm like, okay, lose some weight. I'll get my personal training license. I had always liked working out, so it was just like something to kind of get me through college and pay the bills and whatever. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then I realized like how much it actually helps your mental health, and I'm like, wow, okay, this can stick around. This is nice.
And while you're in college, you also did some PT work for with old ladies, I hear.
Yes, yes, I did. So I worked for like a physical therapist that focuses on like, um, what's the word? So like a lot of old people get like vestibular, what is it? I can't think of the word, where they get like dizzy and they can't balance well, or just as you get older, they're not as coordinated. So basically, all it was physical therapy to help you be able to do like walk normal and just better quality of life as you get older, basically. Or we would see some younger people that did have dizziness and stuff. Um, yeah, and that was really fun. I've always enjoyed healthcare, so that was kind of like, I at one point wanted to be a physical therapist, so it was kind of like a trial, like, okay, do I like this? Is this what I want to go into? Um, yeah, so that was fun. I did that for a few years and I really enjoyed it while I finished school.
Cool. And do you see yourself going back to like some form of coaching if you're not want to go back to being a nurse? Is that something you would like enjoy doing in person, or do you feel like that's a closed
Honestly,
chapter?
I am like the least outgoing person ever. I'm so introverted, and I don't. I don't know if I could do it. I'm like, I just like being in my little bubble. It's funny because, like, when I worked at the hospital, I loved interacting with patients and getting to know them, but it's also on, like, I don't know. So maybe I would like it. It's hard to say because I do like that one-on-one, like, structure, you know what I mean? Like, you just get to know someone easier. So, but it is also very draining for me, which I don't know if I need that right now. You know what I mean? Like, if I go do anything social, it's like, okay, I need to go home and recover in my bed for 5 days.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I haven't thought much about that, but who knows? I still have a lot of life left.
Yeah, and but you missed that because you did like team sports before, like soccer and basketball, and running is at least when you're out there on the trail, it's like a lonely endeavor with you and your thoughts and Cleo, of course. But is that something you miss, or like that team aspect of sports, or do you just prefer running by yourself?
Um, I miss it for the friendships, but I have found friendships through running. So, yes and no. I love running alone. I'm not a big group run person. I don't find it very fun. I'll go on one every now and again, um, but it's just draining for me. And I would rather run with one or two people or alone. I don't want to go with like a big group. And even then, usually I will choose to be alone. It's just like I feel like it's my time where I can finally be have silence. Like my house is always so noisy with the kids, and so it's just nice to like get that silent time, and I really like it. So I think that's just kind of the introverted side of me too. I just find it really like refreshing and recharging to do that by myself, which I know tons of people that literally just do it for the social aspect, but that's just not me. That it's the opposite for me. I like, and there is like, I have a couple friends that I can run with and it doesn't drain me, you know, when you have those people that they just get you. And so that's nice. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I need people. But that's mostly because work is just by myself on the laptop. So
yeah,
every
that's how my husband is.
excuse, yeah,
He's so
every excuse.
extroverted. So it's funny. We're like completely opposite. So we kind of balance each other out. Like, oh, Katie, you've been in the house for a really long time. We should probably get out. And I'm like, okay, fine. We'll get out. So yeah, but I don't mind.
Yeah, then that's a good segue over to your social media profile because you are an introvert and
Yeah.
yet you have grown an account by sharing your story in such a big way. And one post that you posted recently said that you're healing out loud. How do you like integrate those two aspects? You know, you're such an introvert, but at the same time you share and find a way to do that that inspires people.
So I think introverts are really good at social media because it's a way for you to be social without technically being social. So it really doesn't like I still have a hard time with some aspects. Like I don't talk on the camera a whole lot. I don't show my face like a ton talking, which some people do, but it's so that's like really hard for me. So I work on that. I try to like talk more and whatever. But other than that, I just feel like it's um, pretty easy to do as an introvert. You can shut it off when you want, you know, and um, what was the other part? What did you say? I can't remember. Oh, like healing out loud. So, and that's the other thing with social media. It's helped me like connect with other people in a way that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Especially kind of as an introverted person, I'm not just out there like talking to people all the time, asking about their experiences. Like, that's just not me. That's something my husband does. So I just feel like with social media, like the whole reason why I like decided to kind of get help with my postpartum depression and realized like that I wasn't alone was because of social media. I had posted, so before I posted, one of my friends from high school, this girl I knew, she had posted like, I don't know, I don't know the timeline, if it was like years or months, but she had had her baby and she had really bad postpartum depression. And I remember like reading her story and I was like, oh, I didn't think much of it. But then I had my baby and I had postpartum. And so then I decided to like reach out to her and was like, hey, I remember reading about your experience. I think I'm going through it. Can you just like, can you help me? What should I do? And then once I chatted with her, I just like felt like I should be brave and that I should share and see if I can connect with other people. Because when you realize other people are struggling, I think it's so powerful to know that you're not struggling alone and that there's other people that you can like talk to. So I decided to just make a post like saying, yes, I had my baby and it's been really hard. Everybody else talks about how beautiful and wonderful it is, but for me, it's just been like really hard. So I basically just like told my whole story, and I had so many comments and like messages of people just like either relating or being like, I had this same thing, or just like offering love or advice. And ever since I did that, I like realized like, okay, this is so powerful and I need to keep sharing about mental health because it's not talked about enough. I feel like I had no idea that it was such like a problem, but literally it's a giant problem and nobody talks about it. So from that day on, I was like, nope, I am going to talk about it and share my experience. And I try, it is hard sometimes when I go through a hard time to share about it in real time. Occasionally I will on my Instagram, depending how I'm feeling. Um, but I do try and be pretty like vulnerable and like share the highs and the lows because, and it's really hard on social media. You see usually just the good. It's hard to really portray what real life is like. So no matter how hard I try, it's still not going to seem how it really is, if that makes sense. But I do try just to kind of keep it like, yeah, my life isn't just rainbows and butterflies. I have hard times a lot more than I like to admit, but I don't know. So I just try and talk about my struggles often because then I can talk to other people. They can feel comfortable talking to me, and I just feel like it helps me and it helps also other people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the recent posts I saw. Like you said in the post that you didn't feel like sharing your face or anything, but instead of like shutting down and backing off, you said, "I'd rather I'd rather heal out loud." And you go into this video sharing how you have a hard time showing up in this space and being, trying to inspire other people when you're going through a hard time yourself. And I think the most people would have the normal reaction would be to not share that and don't tell that story and rather just post the good runs, the good looking runs, and like of course post about what happened in the past, but with some time in between. But you almost went live and it was raw, and yeah, I thought it was just like a beautiful moment. And I think it also gave your followers an opportunity to kind of reassess their social media lives where they don't have to be perfect all the time. But I wanted to ask, like, what led you to, instead of shutting down and backing off and taking a week off, like most people would, why do you think that you wanted to share and you eventually share that moment with your audience?
Um, Honestly, I think the biggest thing is that's like what my account is. Like I love running and I share it for the mental health aspect mainly. Like that's what my account is. So I just feel like if that's what it is, like I'm going through something, I should be able to share that. And I've honestly never had one negative comment about something like mental health related. Like, oh, I'm struggling. Like nobody's ever been like, oh my gosh, you're struggling all the time or blah blah blah. Like you think all these things in your head, like everybody's going to judge me. Nobody struggles this much. But that's not the case. So I just had to like keep telling myself that and realize like I know this is going to help more people, and it's also going to help me hopefully climb out of this funk because then I can have people to talk to and people know what I'm going through and they can check on me. and whatever. And that video was pretty like live time. I had been struggling probably for like a few days and I was just like feeling so crappy. And I originally was just gonna like post it as a story and I just remember like thinking like no, just share it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? Nothing, honestly. Like, oh, people don't like it. Oh well, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. So yeah, I shared it. It was nice. I feel like I had a few more weeks that were pretty low. I didn't show up in the space like I normally do. I just kind of would pop on here and there, post some like keep going stuff, stuff like that. Um, and kind of just like update like, oh, I'm feeling all right or not feeling good today. Um, and yeah, and then I like ran a race and it honestly helped me so much. And I was like, oh wow, that really pulled me out of a funk. I really needed that. I didn't realize how much I needed that. And I was in such like a dark place that I didn't even want to do that race, which is so unlike me. Like I love signing up for races, and so I was like not even going to do it. Everything was kind of going against me. I just didn't feel like I should do it, and I was like, "No, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter." And then it ended up being like a really good thing, and I kind of talked about that a little bit like, yeah, it was awesome. I signed up, I did it, and now I'm feeling better. And sometimes that's just how it is. We go through these highs and lows a lot and I just kind of want to normalize that because I feel like sometimes people think you have depression and then you heal from depression and you never get it again. And that's just not the case, at least for me. And I just don't think that's very normal. I think it's more normal to go through highs and lows throughout life. And yeah, I used to have them a lot more frequently, but um, kind of as my kids have gotten older and I've learned different coping strategies, I just feel like they're longer in between. Um, but I don't think they're just gonna like go away. You know what I mean? Like I'm always
Mm.
gonna have some type of struggle, but I'm just gonna know how to manage it better and I'm gonna learn each time like what I can do to help get through this time. And so yeah, I think did I get off on a tangent or anything?
No, no, no. That's great. That was actually going I was going to ask you about because you also say that you're like not you're not comfortable, of course, but you've accepted the fact that depression might never leave, and somehow you're okay with that because you now have a toolbox with tools that you have learned uh, and acquired over the years.
Yeah.
And I would just love to hear like what you have found that has helped you when you like feel the darker thoughts or you're in a slump. Like what's been like consistently helping you?
So the main thing is running, movement of any kind. Running helps the most, but even if I can't run, if I can just go for a walk, especially outside, I just feel like being outside helps, going for a hike. Um, and I also know, so I took medication for probably like 5 years after I had my first, and I was so anti-medication before that, and I did not want to get on it. And then I had postpartum, and I like literally was like, "There's, I have to get on it. This isn't safe." So then I was on it throughout all of my other pregnancies, and I just saw how much it helped me. And then I noticed that I was doing better, and I was able to get off it. But just knowing that that I can get on medication if I need to is just really comforting for me. Like knowing that I'm not anti-medication, I've done it before, I know it works, I know it's there kind of as like a backup plan. It just really feels comfortable for me. So that I would say like is kind of a little tool, like just knowing. And then I go to therapy. It kind of depends like the season of life I'm in and what I'm going through. Right now I go about once a month. Because also it is very expensive. I'm sure there are cheaper options, but I have been with my therapist for like 4 or 5 years and I just really like her and I don't plan on trying to find anyone else, you know, when you just connect with someone and she knows everything. So right now I go about once a month. Over the summer it might be a little less just because my kids are out of school, but yeah, and if I feel like I need to go in more, I can just let her know and so that's really been really helpful just to be able to talk about. I just feel like I had a lot of stuff from my childhood. Like I had a great childhood, but once you're an adult and you kind of see your behaviors, you realize that there's just certain things in your childhood that you have to like dig through, and they made you the way you are. And I just think, I don't want to call it trauma because I don't have like childhood trauma, but there's just a lot to work through. So, and that plays a huge role with my mental health, just being able to like work through everything through my childhood. And yeah, it's just been really, really awesome. I would say that's probably up the top, like one of the most helpful things for me. And then also, I like thrive off sunlight and just like being outside. So the winter times can get very hard for me. Luckily, I live somewhere where it's not super cold, but still the day, like the day is really short. The sun comes up really late and it sets really early. So it just gets really hard. But I know that that's coming every year, so I try and like I just have to like embrace it. Like, okay, I know it's gonna come. This is what I can do to kind of help, and then it'll be spring and it'll be better again. And then also, I have been really big on getting my vitamin, like all of my blood work done, my hormones, my vitamins, my iron. I get it checked usually twice a year. Um, and yeah, I have found I used to have really messed up hormones a few years ago. And so we got those all fixed, and I feel like that helped me mentally. My vitamin D used to be very low, and that can also make you feel tired or just not the best. And so there's been certain things throughout that I found that I've kind of tweaked to just help me. And so, yeah, I will keep doing that. I go through phases of like journaling. I enjoy journaling, but sometimes I just don't feel like I have the time. So I'll just like pull out my phone and talk to my phone just so I'm like getting it out of my head. Um, yeah. And then sometimes I like want to journal all the time. It's just as I just go through phases, but I do feel like it helps just to like get your feelings out and talk. And another big thing is just like my husband, since since I've experienced all this, he's also learned like, okay, when she starts acting like this, usually it means she's not feeling the best. And he kind of knows like, hey, are you doing okay? Do you need anything? And it's really hard for me to like ask for help, but I've had to like teach myself to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not doing the greatest. I need a day to just like do nothing. Or like, could you do this with the kids so I can just like, not have to worry about this? And so that's a really big one for me. And it's still super hard to do so, but I do feel like having a supported person really helps, which I know not everyone might have. And I think that's where it's important to find friendships. Like I have one of my best friends, she knows everything. I could call her for literally anything, and it's just so helpful knowing that you have someone that cares about you and wants what's best for you. So I think it's just like I said, I'm so introverted that I don't thrive off like friendships. I just want a few, but I have found it to be very important to find those really close friendships. So I have my really close friends and I keep them really close, and I just think it's so important for mental health to have people that you can relate with or vent to or talk to. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would say like is a tool I use for my mental health. The big one is just movement. It makes such a big difference. Like when I'm injured or something and I can't run, I'm like, oh my heck, I'm gonna die. But then I, and that's what's hard for me because I love running. It's like, um, that's like my preferred form of exercise. So when I can't do that, I tend to just want to like sit in my bed and not do anything. And my husband would be like, you need to get out, go for a walk. So then I'll like go hiking and I'm like, okay, this actually feels really good. So I kind of have to like force myself if it's doing something that I don't really like, but I know it's going to help just because it's movement, if that makes sense.
No, that's great. That's great. Thanks, and very helpful. I found a lot of the same things helpful, and yeah, I think like that social bit will look different for everyone, but like you said, the most important thing is just having someone to share with and go through, just to realize that you're not alone. And I was just curious to know if like how has in any way if it has helped to be like open about your own story, so it's not like something you go and carry around and it's like almost something that you hide from people. Has that changed the situation in any way?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, so I'm trying to see how to word this. It's hard sometimes knowing that which I don't know how to word this. I think it's hard knowing that my close family and neighbors and like people that know me in person know so much about me and what I struggle with. That is very hard for me. And I don't know if it's because I see them all the time and that's like really, I don't know. It just, growing up, it wasn't ever like, depression wasn't really a thing, anxiety wasn't really a thing. You didn't talk about it. So it's just kind of been a big learning curve with my family. And um and some people just don't know how to help. I don't know, like without it sounding bad, but like I don't know. And then sometimes I get overwhelmed with the amounts of like my neighbors or friends, if they know I'm going through a hard time, of them being like, "Do you need anything? Can I do this? Do you want me to come see?" Like, uh-uh. I just kind of want to be left alone. Um, because I am introverted, but then you also don't want to isolate. You know what I mean? So sometimes that part can feel overwhelming, but I know they just love me and care about me. Um, but so I would just say it's like scary. It's not scary to have internet strangers know because I'm not going to see them and we can just chat, DM each other and whatever. Like I just feel like we can help each other, but it's more scary having people that are like in my day-to-day life know. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does, and you're like in a situation where some of your followers know more about you and your day to day than your actual neighbors, right?
yeah,
So it's like but of course it's like putting you to the test. The introverted Katie actually has to meet her neighbors.
yeah,
Internet Katie can just answer DMs,
yeah.
which is a lot easier, right?
And I love all
Um,
my neighbors. I've met them all,
yeah,
but it's still scary.
yeah. But that's, I mean, that's one of the pitfalls, I guess, of social media because it comes with great responsibility as well. And as you've encountered by sharing so openly, you can also get like inundated with messages and um, this fatigue almost from all the messages that you receive can be a thing, as I've experienced
Yeah,
myself with having Out in the Dark for 7 years. It's like the stories you hear are just gut wrenching, and there's just many people going through a very hard time who haven't had any place to talk to anyone about it
yeah,
before. And that can lead to, as when you shared like you have a hard time showing up in this space when you're struggling yourself, it almost like it becomes a responsibility and you can't never take a day off. And yeah, I would be interested to hear more about like the pitfalls of being like a mental health advocate to the open internet. Is that something you have experienced, and how's it been like?
honestly, the biggest thing is probably just I feel like what's the word? Like I take people's emotions on super easy. And so, like you said, like hearing some messages that you receive about people and what they're struggling with, it's really hard. Like and you just feel so bad and you just want to help everyone, but you literally can't. And so I feel like I just take it all on and then it's just so heavy for me and it's almost like now it's my burden even though it's not, you know what I mean? Like I just take it all on me. And I feel like over the years I've gotten better at it. It's not as hard as it used to be, but I feel like that's probably the biggest thing. I don't really know if there's anything else that's really negative. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that's probably the only thing that I would say is kind of negative with talking about mental health.
compassion fatigue is real, and
Yes.
you know this from being a nurse, and that's like very. That's what I found really ironic is like I started Out in the Dark to talk about my mental health and to get rid of that shame that just surrounds mental health.
Yeah.
And I was in a good place when I started Out in the Dark, but like going through COVID and like everyone went online and sharing their troubles, it was just like so detrimental for my own mental health. Because
Yeah.
like I am very much like you, especially after I myself struggled with depression, that just become hypersensitive to how everyone's feeling in a room, on a bus, on the internet. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I can't watch those like police shows on TV with like real people or from a hospital. Like I can't do it because it just
Yeah.
hurts too much. And so that's like something I guess. I know you've spoken about this on one of the other podcasts you did, but how if you were to find anything good from your struggles, that's like one of the things that I've found is like that sensitivity to other people. You can just can relate to someone who's going through a hard time in a much deeper way, but at the same time it hurts because it's like a bottomless
Yeah.
pit.
And
It's just like
I think just like if you've gone through depression, you just have sympathy for anyone that's going through a hard time, regardless of what it is. I feel like so many people feel guilty for being like, oh, this is like they're struggling with something, but maybe it's not as bad as the next person what they're struggling with. But it really doesn't matter. No matter what you're struggling with, it's all hard. And so I just think like, because I used to feel that way, like, "Ugh, this is dumb. Like, I'm literally crying about having a baby and blah, blah, blah. And there's people that are dying or have lost someone to cancer. You know what I mean? And you just start to think, like, I shouldn't feel bad. I should be grateful for my life. I have a great life. Why do I feel like this? Um, but now I just am like, I can just relate and be like, it doesn't matter because I've been there where it's like, yeah, my life is great, but I still feel like crap. And so it really doesn't matter what you're going through. You can still feel bad. You're allowed to feel bad. It's allowed to be hard. It doesn't matter. Um, so I just think it's kind of been helpful that way because someone, I mean, I know people that have not struggled with mental health like at all and they just don't get it. So there's no way you could talk about this if you've never been through it and it's just hard to relate. So I just feel like I can relate to people even if it's not the same struggle.
yeah, totally. And if we were to go back then, because like one of your um, one of the posts that struck me on your Instagram is picture or a video. I can't remember if it's a very pregnant and young Katie
Oh yeah.
with the text, she doesn't know it yet, but in 1 month she'll get postpartum depression and question taking her own life. So like from what I can understand from your backstory, there was like no signs of anything like mental health wise until that
So
postpartum. So how can
most yeah.
take us back?
So growing up, I don't know if you're familiar with this. I know in the States it was pretty well known about Elizabeth Smart. Do you know who that is? Okay, so she was a young girl in Utah. I can't remember how old she was, but she got abducted from her home. Um, and it was like an hour from where I grew up and where I lived. And I was probably a few years younger than her. And so you hear about it on the news. And I, at the time, my parents didn't label it as anxiety, but I had anxiety. I was, I couldn't sleep in my own room. I had to sleep on my parents' floor every night. Like, I struggled with that. I was so nervous I was going to get taken. I slept in my parents' room for probably a year. I'm trying to think the timeline. And my mom ended putting me up. I went to therapy. Um, it was great. I don't think I went very long. And then, like, I was fine. And the older I got, I kind of had some OCD tendencies when I was little. Like, I'd wash my hands all the time, I'd check the doors, stuff like that. And then as I got older, I kind of just like outgrew it and forgot about it. As like a teenager, never had any issues, and I didn't even at the time know that those things I did in the past were like mental health related. Like I didn't know it was anxiety, um, stuff like that. So yeah, it wasn't, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then I got pregnant, and then I pretty quickly after I got pregnant, because I was so sick and I was so used to like working out, but I like couldn't, and I was in school, and then I started a new job, and like it was just so stressful, and I think it all just kind of snowballed, and I was so depressed, and I was like, what is wrong with me? I don't know who I am. Um, and I don't even remember how I found out like what I had. If it was my doctor that was like, "Oh, you have perinatal depression," or if I just like Googled it. I don't even remember how, but I just remember being like, I don't feel like myself. And I was having really bad anxiety. I ended up having to quit my job. I just couldn't do it. So basically, I would like be in bed all day, just like with I can't say that word. Debil
Debilitating.
yes, anxiety. Like I just couldn't do life. I was so worried about my baby. Running was too painful, so I would make myself go to the gym and like get on the elliptical, and that helped a lot. But I was constantly like having meltdowns and just like, is my baby still alive? Like I was so worried about him. Um, and so I think once he was born and I had postpartum depression, I think that's why it was even so much harder because during my whole pregnancy, I was like so concerned about him and I loved him so much. And then he was here safely, and I was like, I don't want this baby. Take this baby away. Um, so it was just so weird because at one point I'm like so like I just felt like I had bonded with him already, and then he's here and I don't want him. And during my final stages of pregnancy, my doctor had mentioned like, hey, you can get on a medication. It's safe for pregnancy. And that's when I was like, no, I'm anti-medication. I will be fine. I can do this. Um, yeah, I just kind of did the checklist things, like made sure I was exercising, eating well, sleeping, kept myself busy doing like stuff to get ready for the baby. And then he was born, and it was like almost instant. I think it was that night after he was born because um, he was born in the evening, and then you're like not sleeping at all. They're in there always checking on you. And I just felt like this dark cloud coming, and I was just like, oh crap, what did we do? Why did we have this kid? Like, and I had wanted him so bad. I wanted a kid so bad. And so hearing myself say that, I was like, what? I'm so confused. How am I saying this? I've always wanted kids. I've always wanted to be a mom. Um, and then yeah, we went home, took him home, and then it just kept getting worse. So then I just remember crying a lot. I feel like I've like blocked out a lot of it. I just cried a lot. I would always tell my husband, I don't want him. I don't want this baby. I'm just so tired. Um, and my husband was like, bless his heart, he knew I was struggling, but he had never seen this. He's like, what's going on? What's happening? Like this is supposed to be a happy time. Um, My mom knew I was struggling, and my sisters. My mom ended up coming. She just lived like 10 minutes away from us at the time. So she came and stayed with me for like the first 3 weeks, and she would just come at nighttime because that was the hardest time for me. And I've since learned I'm a person that loves sleep. And so I think that's why it like hit me so fast because I was sleep deprived and I wasn't going to be getting sleep in the near future because it's just not happening. So she would come help me at night just to kind of like, I'd feed him, she'd put him back to bed so I didn't have to worry about that. Um, and kind of get us in a new routine, a new normal. We had talked to the doctor. He immediately was like, I really think you should try medication. And I was so like distraught and not with it that I just agreed. I was like, yeah, I don't even know who I am. I'm afraid I'm going to hurt my baby or me. Um, and I just remember one night, like sitting on my bed, and I think my mom had the baby out in the front room, or he was with me or something. I think I was trying to feed him and I couldn't. And I was just crying and saying, take me back to the hospital, I need help. And like, just take me. And my mom's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm not okay. I don't know what's going on. And so she like got me calmed down. And at this point, I had probably been on medication for a week, but it takes like 6 weeks or so to start working. So it was basically like round the clock care for me and him to make sure he was safe, I was safe. My sisters would come and take turns like spending the night. Um, and then around 6 weeks old, that's when the medication, I felt it start kicking in. He was starting to sleep better at night. I was like, okay, wow, I'm feeling better. Depression wise, I felt pretty good. But then like I was having really bad anxiety, like, oh, is he gonna die in his sleep? And then I was just so hyper focused on him that something was gonna happen. And I think I was trying to like compensate for the 6 weeks I wasn't really there. I was just kind of like floating around. So I don't know. It just, and then slowly over his like first year of life, it got better. I found how much running helped, and I made sure we got out every day. I had immense amount of guilt when he was around 6 months old because I literally was like, I can't remember anything. Like I would look back at pictures and I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember. Um, so it was just very hard because I felt like A, I probably ruined him, and B, I don't have any memories. It's supposed to be this happy time and I don't have it. And then we were crazy enough to be like, let's have another. I'm like, why we did that, I don't know. But the good news is I had my second and it was a beautiful experience and I needed it. So like, yes, we were crazy for having another, but now looking back, I'm like, if I didn't have another, I don't like, I would always just have this like ugly experience. Um, and just having that beautiful experience was like so healing for me. And I just really needed it. Like everything about the pregnancy, the birth, like postpartum with him was just like beautiful. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. I stayed on medication. I like stayed on top of it just to like make sure because I was so worried that it was going to come back. And but like I was like, no, we're going to be brave. We're going to have a baby. It's going to be okay. And it was. And same thing with my third. His whole pregnancy and the first like 6 months postpartum were really, really good. I didn't have, I mean, the end of his pregnancy was rough. I did have some depressive episodes. My sister was a very big help in that. I got diagnosed with like a cholestasis or something. It's like when you're really itchy and it's dangerous for the baby. They misdiagnosed me though. So like they told me that I had it and they were like, "Oh, he needs to come out immediately." But I was like 4 weeks early, so it was a little scary. But then they got the blood test back and it was like inconclusive. So then they were like, oh, you don't have it. And so then I was like mentally a mess because I was like, oh, we're having a baby. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Um, and then 2 weeks before his due date, I wasn't feeling him move. And so I went in and they ended up just inducing me and I had him. And so once he was here, I was fine. I get a tiny bit of anxiety, like just whenever I have babies, but like it wasn't bad, it was manageable. But then, like out of nowhere, I don't know if it was just having like three little kids that were 3 and under with me or what triggered it, but around 6 months old, I just was so mean. Like I was screaming at my husband. I had like no patience. And I just remember talking to my doctor and he was like, yeah, postpartum rage is a thing. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, well, that explains it because I really do just feel like a rage monster. Like I'm just so rude and it's to the people that I love the most. Um, and so even like I never got on medication for that. I think I was still technically on my SSRI. So, because I wanted to get off it so bad, but I was like, okay, I'll stay on it till this is like taken care of. And then once he was, I think, 18 months old, that's when I weaned off everything and I've been off of it since. So, yeah, that was kind of a lot. I feel like we just went from childhood clear. But yeah, so those are like my biggest like things, struggles that I've had with mental health. And then now since then, it's like just little bumps along the road, and I'm just grateful to be on the other side.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And they're 5, 7, and 9 now. Your boys?
They are 5, almost 7, and 8.
Okay, okay. And yeah, whenever you said whenever I'm having babies, it's like that's like something you say when you have at least three, and some
Yeah.
puppies. But yeah, wow. Yeah, when did like running show up in all this? Because I know you ran some stroller runs as well with your first, right?
Yeah, so I have been running, like I couldn't really run through my first pregnancy, but then once he was born, ever since I was like 6 weeks postpartum, I've ran since then. From during my second pregnancy, I was able to run the whole time, and then I just had to take off like the 6 weeks or whatever after. And same with my third, I was able to run the whole time, which I am so grateful for because I think it really did help so much. And yeah, and then ever since then, and then like I had my third, and they start getting older and you're sleeping, and that's when I started getting back into racing. I think I did my first like race when he was, not my first race, but like my first one postpartum. Um, and I haven't stopped since. So like probably when he was 18 months, maybe sooner. Yeah. So I like found this new passion for training and doing races and just something to kind of work for and whatnot. So, yeah.
Was that your stroller half?
Yeah, so the stroller half I did with my oldest, and we did it right before his first birthday, and it was kind of like I wanted to celebrate. Like we survived the year. You're turning 1. I did it. I mean, I logged so many miles with him. It was probably over 1,000. Like every single run I was doing was with him in the stroller. So it just felt like fitting to sign up for a race and push him in the stroller. And I actually found out like 2 weeks later that I was pregnant with my second. So I was like, oh well, good thing we did it because
Yeah.
that was it. It was really fun, and he loved it. He slept for like 7 of the miles, and then the last 6 or so, he was just like looking at people, and it was really fun.
That's awesome. That must have been like therapeutic to like going through that and then finish up with a half marathon together
Yes,
before
definitely.
the next. Before the
Yeah,
next.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's something also I want to talk to you about because you've spoken about being a mom and that identity and also being a runner. Can you tell us about how you relate to that identity of being a mom, but also wanting to be more?
yeah. So the way I was raised and grew up, you like I was basically my whole life was like you should be a mom, and being a mom is great, and you like that's what you should strive to be. I never saw myself wanting to have a career. I never That just wasn't something I even thought about. It was always you're going to be a mom, and I wanted 8 kids. I was like that's what I wanted. Um and so yeah, I never thought anything of it. Luckily, I did like make myself go to college and finish college because I think that helped. I needed to have like a career. Um, but when I had kids, I realized, oh, I don't know if I like this. And I felt really bad saying that. And now I don't feel so bad. Like some people do thrive on being a mom. They want to be a homemaker. They want, like, they really enjoy it. So, but I'm like, some people, it's just not for them. And that's okay. Doesn't mean I don't love my boys. I still love them. But also, it's okay to have a life outside of being a mom. It's okay to have a career, to chase dreams. Um, yeah, it's okay. And I, it wasn't a big thing for me, like growing up. Like it wasn't a big thing for people to use daycare and to have help. Um, so when I was working and I would like have to have someone watch my kids so I could sleep for a few hours after work, that was really hard. But then I realized like, no, this is okay. It's okay if you're not with your kids 24/7. Like it's not the end of the world. Um, and I just, for me, I realized it's so, so important to kind of separate the two and have Kaydi goals and dreams and then like my mom goals and dreams. Like these are the goals I have within motherhood, but then also these are the goals I have outside of motherhood just as Kaydi, as a woman, you know. Um, and that's helped me so much because I struggled really bad with like when we first had kids, it was so easy for my husband to just do whatever he wanted and nobody ever questions it. But then for the mom, it's like you want to do something, you have to ask someone to watch your kids. You have to do this. Or people are like, well, who's watching your kids while you're working? Do they ever ask the dad that? No. Um, so that was very hard with me because I'm like, this is not fair. So it was a lot of me, like I had to talk to him and kind of express like my frustrations. Like, it's just not fair that you can just pick up and go do whatever you want, and then I'm stuck with the kids and I have to like always figure out the babysitter, or why can't I be the one that goes to work? Um, and for a while, I actually did work. My husband had lost his job, so I went back to work for like 3 months full time. Because I was just working part time at the time. So I upped my hours and he stayed home. But I never felt like, as a mom, you don't, it's just different than being a dad. Like, I still felt like I had all this responsibility with the kids. Even though he was doing it, I felt like I had to like micromanage him. So it was just really hard to kind of let go and just like let him handle it. He's in charge of that now. I'm gonna go to work. Um, so it's hard because part of me, like, I love being in charge of my kids. I love like knowing what activities they need to go to and what they're doing. Um, but sometimes I just want to like not know anything. Like, I'll just go to work, I'll come home, I'll see the kids. Great, this is lovely. Um, so yeah.
Being a mother and that like identity of being a mother but also runner, and like having more legs to stand on than just being a mom, and you have mom goals and also like Katie the runner goals, right? And also showing your boys what is possible. And I just read one post that said like the feminine urge to show my boys that mom can still chase dreams. Can you tell us a little bit about that and like what inspired you to do that?
Um, so I want my boys to grow up in a very like diverse, um like they can, I don't want to tell them what they believe. I want them to be able to form their own beliefs and be able to see the world a lot differently than I did. So one of those things is me showing them that just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I have to be with you at home all day and stay home. Like, you don't need to go marry someone that wants to have kids, unless that's what you know what I mean? Like, I just want them to have a really open view on the world, and I just want them to know that they can do anything. It doesn't matter who you are or anything. So I just want them to see me chasing dreams and that your life doesn't end just because you're getting older or you got married or you had kids. Like, you can find ways to chase different dreams. So, yeah.
That's cool. And you say you wanted to them to see the world differently, or at least as an open place to do whatever they want. Did you feel like it was a closed off world, or like your options were limited once you hit a certain age or became a mom when you grew up?
Yeah, so I was raised in a like a very high demand religion, and looking back at my childhood, it was great. But at the same time, I was told this is what you do, and that's it. They say you have options, but I didn't feel like I did. Um, it never once crossed my mind to go out of state and move away from my family. Like, yeah, I moved 4 hours away to go to college, but it was still in state. Like, I should have went and experienced the world. Um, so I don't want that for them. Um, and yeah, I was basically told what to do. At the time, I felt like I was choosing, but now looking back, I'm like, would I have chose that? I don't know if I would have. And I'm very grateful for where my life has led me, and I don't want it any other way, but I think it's important to also let yourself grieve, like knowing like I didn't get to experience this, I didn't get to experience this. And yeah, so I don't know. I've talked about that with my therapist a lot. Like, just let yourself grieve what you missed out on. It's okay. It doesn't mean you don't love where you're at right now. Um, so yeah, I don't want them in that same situation. I want them to see the world as a place that they can go explore and do whatever they want, and nobody's telling them that they can or can't. Um, because I just don't ever remember feeling like I had that option or that I was supported in that option.
I think that's a very healthy way to raise your kids, to let them know that there are options. And I think it's phenomenal that you're still out there chasing goals, not only as a mom but as a runner and athlete, as you are. And yeah, so we can start delving into that, your ultra running journey, because you were like running shorter distances, and as the years progressed, they just got longer and longer. And I'm gonna preface this by saying that like there's like an ongoing theory on the internet that people who run ultras are usually people who have dealt with some form of pain or trauma in their life, and they use ultra running as a way to like control the pain. Like they are the one in control. So I was wondering if you want to speak to that stereotype. Is there any truth to that, or and what led you to ultra running?
Yeah, I think it's true, but I also think that's true with runners in general. Like, that's why most of us run. And it is true, you feel in control of something. When sometimes in life you don't feel in control, it's nice to have something that you can kind of be in control of. Um, I don't know. I honestly think if everyone tried an ultra marathon, they would probably like it. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's pretty great, but I just like how much running correlates with life and all the life lessons you learn with it. And I feel like the greater the distance, the more I learn. Um, so it's just been really fun to see, like, wow, I didn't know I could push my body this way. And then somehow it ties back into life, and you're leaving this long run with all these life lessons, and you realize how like resilient you are and that you can always keep going. And it's crazy how intertwined it is. I really love it.
Say more. Life lessons from ultra running.
Yes.
I saw you put up a post recently, like with the five biggest thing you learned from your recent ultra. But yeah, if you can take us through some of the lessons that you kind of felt correlate with real life, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I think one of them I talked about was like everybody has problems, and no matter like how big or small, they they all matter. It doesn't matter. Like, every problem matters, and if you're struggling, you're struggling. And we kind of touched on that earlier. But that was like one of the things, especially like just during the race, you would see. So there was a bunch of different distances, and we all had different color bibs. Um, and so you would just like see someone like, oh, they're running the 100-mile race and they look really good, or wow, they look like they're struggling, and or this person's doing the 60K. Wow, they look like they're struggling. And we're all out there fighting like different demons, or like maybe one of us is on a high right now and one of us is on a low. but like all of our experiences are valid, and that's exactly how life is. Like we're all on different planes of life, and some people are riding a high, some people are riding a low, and some people are just kind of in between, and it's all valid, and it's just crazy. It literally is the same as running. I don't, yeah, I could talk about it all day, how it correlates, and some people don't see it. I'm like, I don't know how you don't see it, but I'm glad I found it.
And what do you think it's about ultras? Because you've done like marathons and half marathons, a bunch of them. Like, what do you find is like different from ultras that like, yeah, is different from the other types of running distances?
Um, I don't know, because I feel like with marathon too, you're pushing your body in a harder way, just shorter amount of time. But you do have to like marathon is very hard and I love it, but I don't know, ultras are just I love, like I said, I love being alone, and during ultras a lot of the time these races are on trail and you don't see anyone for miles and miles, and it's just you, and you realize like I'm the one that has to do this. I have to make it to the next aid station or they're gonna have a search party come and find me. Like, do I want that to happen? No. Um, and then you get to the aid station and you realize, look, I have people to rely on. And I don't know, it's just like a big, beautiful correlation to life. And sometimes you feel alone, but you're really not alone. There's someone right around the corner ready to help you. So I don't know, they're just like so fun. And I've been loving trail running a lot more. So I don't know. I'm when I do my 100 miler, it's Tunnel Hill and it's like on an old like railroad track thing, and it's very flat. It's like out and back, out and back. Um, I don't know how many times. I think four or something. So that one is like you won't ever be alone. You're gonna see people the whole way. So I'm curious to kind of see like, will I like that? It's not on trail. I mean, it's little like pea gravel, like a you know, not like dirt trail, single track trail. So I am curious to kind of see like, oh, am I gonna like that? Am I gonna want to try some of these like loopy 12-hour endurance runs, or am I gonna want to stick to primarily like um, single track trail races where you don't see people? Um, so yeah, I'm interested to kind of see how that goes, and it's flat. There's no climbing, so that'll also be interesting to see like how my muscles handle just having the same terrain and movement for that many miles. So I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Like I'm just like trying it all out because I love it. And I don't know, there's a lot of hate out there for like, oh, you race too much or blah blah blah. You need to like be kind to your body. And I'm like, this is me being kind to my body. Like I do expect a lot from my body, but I also take really good care of my body. And yes, I have kind of high periods. What's the word? I have like high periods of like where I race a few, but then I also have some downtime. Like right now, I won't start like training again until probably July. So it's like I'm not doing these 4 hour long runs anymore. I don't know. So I just like everybody's on their own journey, and why they run or why they race so much, that's them. That's up to them. I don't think we need to like tell other people what they can or can't do. And if they want to and they end up getting hurt, then oh well, they have to deal with the consequences, you know? I'm like, just let people live their life and do what they want to do. And that is a hard part of social media from that aspect because everybody judges what you're doing and they're all going to have opinions. So I've just kind of learned to like, whatever. Like it makes me happy. I want to do it. I'm in the stage of life where I can do it and I have enough time to be able to train for these. So why not? Because who knows, next year I might not be able to. I might not have as much flexibility, etc. So I don't know. And I've gone through like several injuries. Um, but I still don't regret like doing what I did because a lot of them weren't even, I wasn't even running a lot. They were just like random things. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but yeah, just like let people live their life and, you know.
Is that something you've always felt like, devil may care, I'm just gonna live my best life regardless, or is that something that came like after becoming a mom and going through that whole journey?
I don't know. Maybe recently, I just I feel like a lot of years I lived my life for like someone else. And then now in the past like 2 or 3 years, it's been me finding out what does Kaydi want? Like, what do I want? Not what's best for my husband, what's best for my family, like what do I want? And like allowing myself to do that. So I think that kind of just like makes me a little bit more like we don't know what people are going through in their life. So you can't tell someone that they can or can't do something because you don't know their life stressors. You know what I mean? You don't know, you don't see the whole picture. So the social media paints a tiny picture, not the whole picture. So you really can't judge people on there. Like, who cares? If they want to race every weekend, let them do it. Who is it hurting? Them. If they end up getting, you know what I mean? Like, if they end up getting, it's their problem. They're not going to hurt you. Um, but also, I think sometimes people just post it because it's like controversial and it kind of gets feathers ruffled. And so everybody's talking about it. So, I don't know. I don't like posting controversial stuff, so I try not to.
What does Katie want?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I just want to be happy. I'm like I've been trying to just like live in the now because it feels like I'm always like chasing something, like whether it's a race or, so just trying to like appreciate where I'm at and being okay with like not knowing. I'm such like a type A person and like planner. Like I want to know. I want my life planned out. I want to know exactly what's going to happen. Um, so I just I'm just trying to like take it easy and I'm okay with wherever life decides to take me and whatever comes my way. I don't have like I feel like I'm doing what I want like as a like professionally like I'm enjoying social media in that aspect. I do miss going to work to the hospital just because it got me out of the house. And there's certain aspects like the social aspect, but like I don't miss it enough to think I want to go back. But it's nice knowing like I could go back. Or maybe I'll do something else. Like I've done lots of different things. Like I'm a newborn photographer. What else have I done? Like I've done like lots of little hobbies, and it's just kind of fun to like jump around and like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Or I don't know. My husband started his own business, and it's just kind of been fun to like help him get that going and kind of see where that takes us. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I just live in life. I just want my kids to be happy too. I feel like once you have mental health issues, you just think about like I just worry about my kids struggling and it makes me really sad to think about. And I know they're going to struggle in some degree because everybody does, unless you're really lucky. But most people do. And I just hope that I can like teach them the tools so when they do struggle, they know this is what's wrong with me. This is what I'm going through. This is what I can do. Like they hear me talk about, yeah, I'm going to therapy today, and they know what that is. And so I think just like being open about it is going to help them in the long run, but it's still really scary thinking about them having to go through something hard.
Yeah, and you have that. Luckily, you've gained that toolbox over the years that I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll be lucky to learn a lot from you. as ultra running, as in a metaphor for life, you say, what kind of like inner chat or what gets you going? Because like when you're on mile 40 and there's 10 miles to go, and what do you say to yourself then?
I literally always say keep going. I'm like, that's why I got it tattooed because when you're running, it's easy to look right here and throughout just like anywhere during the day. Like if I can see it so easily, that's why I chose that spot. And it's just so easy to say like when you're tired. Like and there's no explanation. Just keep going. Like it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing else you can do. If you stop, then that's not good. So just keep going. Um, and sometimes I I don't want the message keep going to be portrayed as you can't ever fail or quit because that's not what it is. Like for example, I ran a marathon it was a year ago and I ended up not finishing. I dropped out at mile 22 and I was having hip pain, really bad pain. And could I have pushed through it? Yes. Did I? No. I knew something was wrong. Like I know my body and I did not want to make it worse. So I was just trying to be smart and safe. Um, so that's one of those things where my keep going was me pulling out of the race and doing the smart thing. Even though, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always what you think it is. So it can just work for lots of different scenarios, but it doesn't mean that you're never going to fail or you're never going to. It just means, regardless of what happens, you keep going, you get over that hurdle, and now you go on to the next one or whatever's next. And kind of like I know I'm talking a lot about running, but I'm trying to like bring it back to life. So like I ran that marathon, I had to drop out. It mentally like really messed with me. I was like, "Oh, I was in such good shape and I was supposed to run the Boston Marathon. Let's see, that would have been like 2 months later and um I feel like the easy way out could have just been like, "Oh, I'm not going to do Boston." But I was like, "No. My hip is better. I've been doing my exercises. I can keep going and I can do it." And so that's like, I don't know, like just perseverance in the right thing. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm like all over the place, but just not always taking the easy way out. And sometimes that looks different. Like you just, I don't know. Everyone knows their own body and you have to honor your own body.
Yeah, and by pulling out of that race, when you felt an injury creeping up, that was actually the best thing you could do to overall keep going, right?
Yes, exactly. In the long
Yeah.
run. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. And where did like that first mantra became like a thing for you? Was that through your like postpartum journey, or like when did it show up?
Yes, it would have. I can't like put an exact like time frame, but it was sometime in that postpartum period with my first. A lot of the times, like I was just sitting with him in the rocking chair, trying to get him to sleep, and you're just like in your thoughts, like in this dark place. And I just always remember like talking in my head, like keep going, and then as I started my social media more, um, I just wanted people like I love posting running content and making pretty videos. Like I just find it very fun. But I wanted to also tie in how it helps my mental health. And so then I would just start like posting motivational stuff and putting keep going at the end. And I did that, like I do that for lots of my videos. And it just kind of like stuck. And yeah, I just feel like over the past few years, it's just gotten really like, and then that's why I decided to get it tattooed. I was like, okay, this is like, it's so meaningful for me. And it's just, yeah, it's easy to say.
Yeah. And what do you think, speaking of your like social media account and that keep going message, why do you think it has resonated so much with people?
Um, I think because so many people run for their mental health. Like so many people. I would say majority of people. There's a few that don't, but most people do. And so and they can all see how it's correlating to life, and how it's helping them. And so I just think it resonates with people hearing that. And yeah, I just think it resonates with people.
Yeah, and resonating in a way because it's not so much talked about, mental health.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's just like the stigma, like people are scared about how they're going to be perceived, or I don't know. And I remember like one of the things that was scariest for me was I thought I was going to get in trouble with like the law for like saying I didn't want my baby. Like I don't know, like it's just kind of scary because you don't know how people are going to treat you or how they're going to act. But you can look around and see other people that have shared, and usually it's like nothing but kindness and love and support. So you have to really hold on to that goodness and realize that not many people get lots of hate for talking about their mental health. Most people just like relate, and I don't know.
Yeah, and what have you found, like when you started sharing? Like, of course, you got DMs from people struggling themselves, but what have you found has been like the biggest shift, or what you didn't expect would happen once you started sharing?
Um, Probably just the amount of people like when you're struggling, you literally think you're all alone. You feel very isolated. And just the amount of messages I would get, I was like, whoa, you don't realize it. Like it's everyone. Or there was like people I knew and I had no idea they were struggling. And it just really puts into perspective like we really don't know what other people are going through. No matter how well you know someone, it's I don't know, it's crazy. So that was like really huge for me to see like, wow, okay, this is crazy. I did not know this many people struggled. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. And do you have like an overall goal, or like a goal of your sharing your story? Like, what is the end result you want, if there is such a thing?
I don't know if there's like an end result, but I just want to keep spreading awareness. Like that's why I like partnering with you to do this sweatshirt. That was like such a I just felt like that was such a good thing. Like I would love to keep doing things like that, or working with um, other companies that focus on mental health or like postpartum, especially since that's what I struggled with. Um, and just I just think there's power in sharing your story. And I don't know, I just think it helps so much. So I don't know if there's necessarily an end goal, but I just want to continue sharing. Um, and hopefully it just helps people along the way. I don't know. And I feel like it would be nice to be able to just find companies that are just doing good for mental health. I don't know. I feel like I already said that, but yeah.
That's cool. And yeah, that's very much what I hope to do as well with Outrun the Dark. It's just that seeing the silence around mental health is just such a it's just so sad and such a waste when there's so many people being like we lose them way too early because they
Yeah.
haven't been able to open up about their struggles. And that's like, of course there's people who have all the help they can, medication, and
Yeah.
they still don't get better. I understand that, but there's just still so much we can do for people struggling. And that's at least my goal. I hope to like one day live in a world where if mental health is as easy to talk about as physical health, and I understand like not you shouldn't go and just trauma dump and just tell your whole story to the next person on the bus, um, or yeah, because that's a big responsibility both for the recipient and the sender. But at least that there's not this shame around seeking help, seeing a therapist, and all that. And I remember like the first time I saw a therapist, like my mom was like, "You have to go." And I was on my way into the therapist office, and I was like so ashamed. I didn't want to go at all. And outside, of course, the therapist office was like one of my best friends in a car with a girl. And I'm like, oh my lord, this is like my worst nightmare coming true. And I just felt myself stiffen up so bad walking in. And of course, today it seems silly, but that could have been the thing that I needed to get help. And I eventually got out of it myself, but at the same time, that could have been a make or break moment. And that just shame that I felt around that is just so unnecessary because that's just all
Yeah,
culture. It's all culture and it's all just socializing that we grew up with. And for me, I grew up around in a household where my sister was struggling, and I was just told to, when people were asking for her at the door, I just have to tell them they're, oh no, she's asleep, she's not at home. So I grew up around that shame of, if something's not
yeah,
well, just don't talk about it. And I just think
yeah,
that's just legacy thinking that needs to go
yeah.
away. And yeah, I'm not sure if you can relate to that shame around social, or the stigma around
Yeah,
opening up.
definitely. I think that's one of the hardest parts is the amount of shame you can feel. Um, yeah, that was really hard. You kind of have to learn to like let go of it and realize there's no shame. Like you can't control it.
100%. And that um, one smart man has said about, if you made a mistake, own it, admit it, fix it. And that's David Goggins. And I think that's like very wise words, because
Yeah.
our past can hold so much power over us if we let it, but we don't have to. And that's, at least for my part, what I've found. Like the more I talk about whatever my own story is, the like less scared I am in any situation, because I'm already leading with my weakness, which is like the hardest part for me to share. If you're leading with that, it's just everything else becomes so much easier, and it also allows other people to open up, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so David Goggins is big on that, and of course one out of many. But you've inspired so many people with your running content and your stories. I was like wondering, like, who has inspired Katie? Katie runs.
I don't know. I feel like it kind of always changes. Like I wouldn't say it's just like one person or a couple people. It kind of depends where I'm at in life or who I can relate to, or honestly, just seeing regular people like moms show up every day, like some of my friends, it inspires me. Just seeing, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. Um, yeah, so just stuff like that inspires me. Just regular day-to-day people doing, grinding it out. They have their jobs, they have their families, and they're still following their dreams. Um, I think that's really, really inspiring. Trying to think if there's any, I follow like a few pro athletes, and one, for instance, is Grayson Murphy. I don't know if you know her. She's a professional runner for Saucony, and I've always just really been drawn to her. And recently, she um, has had some health struggles, and her body just hasn't been able to do what she wants it to do. And um, it's just been cool to see her like navigate this and still show up in the way that she can, even if it's different than how she was in the past. And I think that's really awesome. I think it's cool to see people that are given these hardships and then see them navigate in a way that they wouldn't have in the past, and kind of learn, what's the word I'm looking for? Learn to, you know, yeah, do it in a
Maneuver,
different way.
navigate.
Yes. So it's just really, that's so inspiring to me because we don't know what life is going to bring us. Something could happen tomorrow that would alter what I can do. And it would just have to be, how am I going to overcome this in a different way? So that's um, really inspiring for me too, as well.
Yeah, and like being a runner as you are, you're also like part of a community that's like huge in its own way, and
Yeah.
you have kind of found your pocket and your running friends. And like, what does community mean to you? Like to bring it back to like that team feeling when you were still doing sports. Like, how has like community played a role in your running journey?
I just think it's so fun to have all these other like-minded people cheering for each other and wanting success for each other. And it's just so fun to watch. I'm part of like a WhatsApp group of like probably 40 girls. Um, and it's just like, hey, you want to run? And whoever runs, they meet up for runs. I don't go a whole lot just because, like we talked about, I don't want to. But it's fun because we all cheer for each other. We can ask each other, like, hey, like, one of them just paced me for my race. I was just like, hey, can you pace me? Or like, we'll go cheer each other on. Or um, we can help with each other's kids. I don't know. I just think it's really fun to have that community and just like nothing but love for each other and no competition, no jealousy. It's just, it's really awesome to have. And I think it's really special.
Yeah, and have you found that like competitiveness? Because I understand you're a very competitive person. Have you like who do you compete against when you're out running? Do you have like people that you're given like targets on their back, or like is it just yourself?
No, that's the thing. Like, I am so competitive, but it's with myself, which sometimes can be bad because I am very hard on myself. Um, but no, that's why I love running because it's just you versus you. There's always little things you can achieve, whether it's like something big, like a PR, or whether it's, oh, I was able to run this far and that's the farthest I've ever gone, or this fast, blah, you know what I mean? There's always, even as you get older and maybe you're not going to be setting any more PRs or you're getting slower, there's always something you can turn into like a little competition with yourself, I feel like. I mean, some people probably don't like that, but I do. I think it's kind of fun to like, okay, now I'm going to do this. And so, yeah, just myself.
Yeah, and you do you have like a tendency like from the past to beat yourself up, like if you weren't good enough, or is that just like from childhood onwards that you've
Um,
carried that?
I wouldn't say I don't know how to explain it. Like, not that I'm not good enough. I think sometimes I just set high expectations for myself, too high. And then if I don't hit them or I'm close to them, I'm like, what the heck? Why? Like, how did I, but I'm like, okay, lower the expectations a little bit. So I think that's just something I've always kind of been like.
Yeah. Is there anything like you're working on currently, like you weaknesses that are like you're trying to not solve but like work on right now?
Hmm, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm like, I don't think so.
I'll give you an example. So for me, like I really relate to what you say about like what do you want? Like for me, it's like being in the now. It's I saw this YouTube video with like a 97-year-old being interviewed, and he's like looking at like the trees swaying in the wind, and he's like,
Yeah.
"This is all life is." And just like being in the moment. And I'm very much like you. I always plan ahead, and I'm always like living in the future or I'm living in the past, thinking about
Yeah.
the 90s or early 2000 and how great it was. Uh,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, the hardest thing for me is being in the now, and I might even have to get a tattoo, not keep going, but like now, and just that's all I need
Yes.
to see because it's so easy to get distracted and forget living moment to moment. So that's something that I'm working on currently, and before that it was giving yourself grace, because I would like be so kind to friends and give them all my time, but I would like just be hard on
Yeah.
myself. So those are like two for me that I've been working on. If that gets you thinking on some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I both of those I can relate to. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else. I'm like, I know there's things. I've been trying really hard to slow down, like not rushing. I'm such a rusher. Everything I want to do so fast, 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 and I rush my kids like, "Come on, we gotta go. Hurry up." Um, and that just creates anxiety in them and me. Like, I'm just trying to be, my husband is such a chill person. I'm like, give me some of that chill. So I'm trying to be just a little bit more laid back. And every time I hear myself like saying, let's go, hurry up, I am like, okay, take a breath. Is it an emergency? No, it's not. It's okay. We don't need a rush. If it takes them 30 extra seconds to get in the car, it's not a big deal. So that's something I've just been doing probably the past like 2 or 3 weeks is all. Um, and I don't know if I've gotten better at it, but I have gotten better at hearing it and stopping myself. So that's good. So hopefully, as time goes on, I'm like, okay, I stop even just like rushing. Maybe not all of it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully, it gets a little better, but that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I'm on a leave more space tangent at the moment myself. I just came across this poem. I'm not sure who it was by, but it was about like threading. You have to thread lightly, and like no good things comes from like white knuckling anything. Like
Yeah,
the best things are always like light-hearted, stepping lightly,
yeah,
and that's just such a much better way to live your life, I think, in general. And yeah, from work, like you can spend 8 hours just like trying to force yourself to do something, or just leave a lot of space and then focus for 2 hours. It's just, I find it's just so much more productive, and also gives you, yeah, more time to bring your creative self into whatever you're doing, whether it's
yeah.
work or whatever. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Speaking of like authors, do you have any like books or any favorite books or things that you come back to time and time again?
Um, Not really. I'm not into self-help books a whole lot, surprisingly. Sometimes I like to read to escape my reality. So I have read a few self-help books, but they're not the first things I would grab. I just like to read stuff that kind of takes me away from my life and what I'm doing. So I I actually like to read lots of like psychological thrillers or just stuff like that. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there has been any like books that I don't think there is. Like my husband loves self-help books. He's read them all. He could tell you all about them, but I would just like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah. There. What about like movies or any type of other
I
content that you?
love oh, movies are great. I love lots of movies. Again, I like psychological thrillers. But I also enjoy like documentaries, true crime. Did I say that right? I said it backwards. But I also like inspiring like the football stories, you know what I mean? Like Remember the Titans or shows like that. I just those are fun to watch and they get you like pumped up and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you're in the business of inspiration, so that makes
Yeah.
makes sense. Are
Yeah.
there any podcasts that you like constantly find yourself listening to?
No. Well, lately I've kind of been in this whole religious deconstruction period. So a lot of my podcast listening has been to like stuff to do with that. Um, and then again, true crime. um, um, yeah, that's really it. I don't,
Fair
and then
enough.
it just kind of depends here or there. I'll listen to other like random podcasts, but I feel like it just kind of changes depending at like where I'm in my life or whatever.
Yeah. And if you had to like close your account or in 10 years time, or you decide yourself to close it down and like you'll step back from this a public figure inspiring trying to inspire Peter to get out there and run for themselves, what do you want to like be remembered for?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I would say just kindness. Like, I just want people to remember me as someone that was kind to them. Um, there's a lot of people in the social media world, and even if you don't get along with everyone, it doesn't mean you can't be kind, or I don't know. I'm such a like people pleaser. It was hard for me to come to the realization that not everyone's gonna like you. Um, that was very hard for me, but I'm like, that's just life. That's how it is. Nobody's ever gonna like everybody. Um, but you can still be kind, you can still be cordial. So yeah, I just would hope that people would think that I was kind, regardless if they liked me or not.
Very cool that you came to that conclusion by your own device. Like, yeah, I like your husband had to read a self-help book to learn that. But there's this book called The Courage to Be Disliked. And this just book title just screamed at me because that's like one of my biggest fears as well. Like I
Yes.
also try to please everyone that I'm in contact with. And this just holds me back so much because I'd rather not do something than to try and then hurt someone, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was very helpful, and it just talks about exactly what you're saying now. It's just an example of it, but what we have our roles to play, and
Yeah.
whenever you are when you're doing your thing and then thinking about the recipient, that's not your role.
Yeah.
Your role is to be yourself and live in your truth, and then it's the role of the other person and the universe to act their part. So
Love
it's
that.
it's never on you. So yeah, but we came to the same conclusion, me through a
Yeah.
self-help book and you through experience. So that's
Yeah.
I guess it worked, so that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, so I see we're coming up on 2 hours here. I just have a few like quick questions before we close off. The time has flown.
I know.
It really has. But yeah, like I want to like if we were to summarize this and like you're speaking to the younger Katie or someone else going through, a dark place. If it's postpartum or anything else. Like, what do you want them to know that you know today that you wish you knew?
Um, Probably just like that it's gonna end. Um, I always like to say like your sunrise is coming. The darkness isn't gonna stay forever. Um, and I know it's so hard to like be able to hear that or see that when you're in a dark place. You feel like it's never going to end. Um, but it does end. And still to this day, if I'm going through something, I always am reminding myself it can't be like this forever. It's going to end and it's going to be light again and it's going to be beautiful again. I wish I had someone that was telling me that when I was going through it. And not in a like I feel like some people say stuff like that and it almost downplays your what you're going through. So not like in a condescending way or like a more like I see you, I see where you're at, I see that you're hurting, but also it's going to end. I promise it's going to end. Um, and just keep going because yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing. Just someone that's there, even if they're not suffering, they're with you while you're suffering and they're there for you. Um, which I've seen a lot with my friend. Like, we can both be there for each other when one of us is suffering and we don't go anywhere. Like, just because somebody's in a dark place, you don't just leave them and then wait for them to come out on the other side. I think it's just really, really nice to have someone. that can be there with you in the dark place and still like you for you.
That's beautiful. Your sunrise is coming. I think that's
Yes.
a beautiful place to wrap up. And I came across, I think we both follow this. I think it's Australian or New Zealand. He's like a poet who writes just quotes on a piece of paper and posts
Yeah.
them on Instagram. And I came across this last night when I was preparing for this podcast, and it said, "Your encouragement is the reason someone is still running today." And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's
I think
just
I saw that one.
perfectly. I think when I read that, I thought of you. So
Yeah. I love
I
that.
just wanted to share that with you. And yeah, any final words you want to share with the audience and the people who've been listening today?
Keep going. I'm like, I don't know, that's all I got. I might not
That
have I might have few words, but I can say keep going. Yeah,
that's
that's
great.
it.
That's great. Oh yeah, thank you so much for your time. We've been all over the
Yeah.
place, and it's been from running to the darkest days to the sun coming up again. And I think it's been a beautiful conversation, and I appreciate your time and what you're doing out there. I think it's super
Yes.
important, and we just need
Thank you.
even more voices out there. So whoever's out there listening, just share your story as well. I think it's waiting to be told, and it will be lighter after you've done it. So yeah, thanks
Yes,
for your
so
time.
true. Yes, thank you.